Tanya Jackson stared at the blank page of her notebook, the words refusing to flow. Outside her bedroom window, the Chicago winter painted the neighborhood in shades of gray. February 1974 was turning out to be the hardest month of her 12 years of life. The bruise on her arm had faded to a dull yellow, but the ache in her chest remained every time she thought about returning to school on Monday. "Tanya, dinner's ready," her mother called from downstairs. "Coming, Mom," she replied, quickly closing her notebook and sliding it under her pillow. Her mother had enough worries, working 2 jobs since Dad left, struggling to keep their small house in the South Side, and caring for Grandma whose arthritis was getting worse. Tanya had decided weeks ago that her problems at school would remain her own. At the dinner table, the small black and white television in the corner played the evening news. Tanya pushed her mashed potatoes around her plate, only half listening, until a familiar voice caught her attention. "I'm the greatest, I'm the prettiest, I'm the double greatest." Tanya looked up to see Muhammad Ali on screen, animated and confident as always, promoting his upcoming championship fight against George Foreman. Her eyes lit up immediately. "That man sure loves to talk," Grandma commented with a smile. "He backs it up though," replied Tanya's mother, noticing her daughter's sudden interest. "You like Muhammad Ali, baby?" Tanya nodded, her food momentarily forgotten. "We learned about him in school. He's not just a boxer. He stood up for what he believed in, even when they took away his title." "That's right," her mother said. "He refused to fight in a war he didn't believe in, knowing it would cost him everything. That takes a different kind of courage." Courage. The word echoed in Tanya's mind long after dinner was over and she had returned to her room. She retrieved her notebook and stared once more at the empty page. This time, she began to write, "Dear Mr. Muhammad Ali, my name is Tanya Jackson. I am 12 years old and live in Chicago. You don't know me, but I need your help." Her pencil moved faster now, the words pouring out as she detailed the daily torment she faced at West Side Middle School. How Lisa Bradshaw and her friends had decided that Tanya, with her dark skin, natural hair, and second-hand clothes, was their favorite target. How they tripped her in the hallways, stole her lunch, and called her names that made her stomach twist with shame. How the teachers saw but did nothing, treating it as just kids being kids. "I try to be brave like you," she wrote, "but it's hard when it's 6 against 1. My mom works so hard, and I don't want to add to her troubles. But sometimes I'm scared to go to school. I don't know what to do anymore." She ended the letter by copying the address of her school from her notebook cover, adding, "If you could just send me some advice, or maybe an autographed picture I could show them, maybe they would stop." Tanya read over the letter. Suddenly, feeling childish, Muhammad Ali was the most famous athlete in the world, preparing for the biggest fight of his career. Why would he care about a 12-year-old girl's problems? He probably received thousands of letters from fans. Still, something stopped her from crumpling the paper. Instead, she carefully folded it and placed it in an envelope she found in her mother's desk. She addressed it to Muhammad Ali, greatest boxer in the world, America, knowing it wasn't a proper address, but hoping someone would help it find its way. The next morning, Tanya walked to the corner mailbox and slipped the letter inside before she could change her mind. As she heard it fall among the other mail, she felt a strange mixture of relief and embarrassment. At least she had tried. At least she had done something. The following Monday arrived with dreary inevitability. Tanya stood at the entrance of West Side Middle School, her heart pounding as she scanned the schoolyard for Lisa and her friends. They were gathered by the fence, and Tanya quickly ducked her head down, hoping to make it inside unnoticed. No such luck. "Hey, look who it is! If it isn't little Miss Nobody," called Lisa, her voice carrying across the yard. Several students turned to watch as Lisa sauntered over, her friends following like a pack of wolves. "Nice jacket, Tanya. Did your mama find it in the trash?" Tanya clutched her books tighter, the second-hand jacket suddenly feeling like a spotlight on her poverty. "Leave me alone, Lisa." "Or what?" Lisa stepped closer, towering over Tanya. "What are you going to do about it?" For a brief, wild moment, Tanya imagined Muhammad Ali receiving her letter, reading her words, caring about her struggles. The fantasy gave her a flicker of courage. "Just leave me alone," she repeated more firmly this time, walking past Lisa, toward the school entrance. She had taken only 3 steps when she felt a hard shove from behind. Her books scattered across the ground as she fell, skinning her palms on the rough concrete. Laughter erupted around her. "Oops," said Lisa with mock concern. "You should be more careful." As Tanya gathered her belongings, fighting back tears, she couldn't help but think about the letter now traveling somewhere in the postal system. A childish hope that would lead nowhere. She was on her own, just as she had always been. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know as she walked into school that day, was that her letter had already been delivered. And Muhammad Ali, preparing for his historic rumble in the jungle fight, had indeed read the words of a desperate 12-year-old girl from Chicago. Some 3,000 miles away, in his training camp in Pennsylvania, the heavyweight champion of the world had put down her letter and told his manager, "I need to make a phone call about a little girl who's being bullied." And as Tanya slid into her seat in first period English, attempting to become invisible, the wheels were already in motion that would change her life forever. If this story has made you feel something, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and let me know where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. 2 weeks had passed since Tanya mailed her letter, and she had all but forgotten about it. The bullying had escalated. Yesterday, Lisa had accidentally spilled chocolate milk all over Tanya's only good pair of jeans, forcing her to spend the rest of the day in humiliating gym shorts borrowed from the lost and found. It was Friday afternoon, and Principal Edwards' voice crackled over the intercom just before the final bell. "Attention students and faculty. There will be a special assembly on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Attendance is mandatory. I repeat, mandatory for all students and staff." Groans echoed throughout Tanya's classroom. Special assemblies usually meant a boring lecture about school rules or an anti-drug presentation with outdated information. "Any idea what it's about, Mrs. Carter?" asked one student. The teacher shook her head. Principal Edwards didn't share the details with faculty. Must be something important. As the final bell rang, Tanya gathered her books quickly, hoping to escape before Lisa and her friends could intercept her. She had almost made it to the door when Mrs. Carter called her name. "Tanya, could you stay for a moment?" Her heart sank. Every extra minute at school increased her chances of another confrontation. Once the room had emptied, Mrs. Carter motioned for Tanya to approach her desk. "Principal Edwards would like to see you in his office." "Am I in trouble?" Tanya asked, her mind racing to think of what rule she might have broken. "Not at all," Mrs. Carter replied with an uncharacteristic smile. "In fact, I think it's good news." Confused, Tanya made her way to the principal's office, a place she had successfully avoided during her time at Westside. Principal Edwards' secretary waved her straight in, another surprise. Inside, Principal Edwards was standing behind his desk, looking more animated than Tanya had ever seen him. "Ah, Miss Jackson, please take a seat." She sat cautiously on the edge of the chair, waiting for an explanation. "Tanya, did you by any chance write a letter to Muhammad Ali recently?" he asked. The question hit her like a thunderbolt. How could he possibly know about that? Embarrassment flooded through her as she realized her private words must have somehow become public knowledge. "Yes, sir," she admitted, staring at her worn sneakers. "Well, young lady, it seems your letter made quite an impression." Principal Edwards handed her a professional-looking envelope with the school's address written in neat handwriting. "This arrived for you today by special courier." With trembling fingers, Tanya opened the envelope and unfolded the letter inside. "Dear Tanya, your words touched my heart deeply. The courage it took to reach out and share your struggles reminds me that the battles fought outside the ring are often harder than those inside it. I want you to know something important. You are not alone. You are not nobody. You are somebody special, somebody important, somebody with a future brighter than you can imagine right now. Those who try to dim your light do so because your brightness threatens their darkness. Their words and actions speak volumes about their character, not yours. I'd like to tell you more in person. With your principal's permission and your mother's approval, I will be visiting your school this Monday to speak with you and your classmates about respect, dignity, and the true meaning of strength. Until then, hold your head high. Remember, you are the greatest. Don't let anyone tell you different. Your friend Muhammad Ali. Tanya read the letter 3 times, unable to believe the words before her. Muhammad Ali, the Muhammad Ali, had not only read her letter but had written back. And he was coming to her school, to see her. "Is this real?" she whispered, looking up at Principal Edwards. "Very real," he confirmed, barely containing his own excitement. "I received a call from his management team yesterday. They've requested a private meeting with you before the assembly, and they've asked that we not announce who the special guest is beforehand." Principal Edwards leaned forward, his expression softening. "Tanya, your letter also mentioned some concerning behavior from other students. Why didn't you tell anyone you were being bullied?" She shrugged, suddenly feeling vulnerable. "I didn't think anyone would believe me, or care." "I care," he said firmly, "and we will address this situation. But first you should call your mother. She needs to give permission for your meeting with Mr. Ali, and I imagine she'll want to attend the assembly as well." That evening, Tanya's small house was filled with an energy it hadn't known in years. Her mother had left work early after receiving Principal Edwards' call, and even Grandma seemed reinvigorated by the news. "Muhammad Ali, coming to see my grandbaby," she kept saying, shaking her head in disbelief. Tanya's mother sat at the kitchen table, reading Ali's letter for the 4th time. "Why didn't you tell me what was happening at school, Tanya?" "You have enough to worry about, Mom," Tanya replied softly. "I didn't want to add to your problems." Her mother reached across the table and took her hands. "Listen to me. Nothing is more important to me than you. Not work, not bills, nothing. Promise me you won't keep things like this from me again." "I promise," Tanya whispered, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. As they prepared for bed that night, Tanya's mother helped her choose her outfit for Monday. Her best dress, rarely worn to preserve it, would finally see the light of day. "Mom," Tanya asked as her mother turned out the light, "do you think he really means it, about me being somebody special?" In the dim glow from the hallway, she could see her mother smile. "Baby, Muhammad Ali might be the greatest boxer in the world, but he's just confirming what I've known all along. You are special. You always have been." That night, for the first time in months, Tanya slept without nightmares of school hallways and mocking laughter. Instead, she dreamed of standing tall, head held high, with the greatest champion in the world by her side. The weekend passed in a blur of anticipation and nervous energy. By Monday morning, Tanya was both excited and terrified. What if Muhammad Ali had changed his mind? What if Lisa and her friends found a way to ruin this too? As she and her mother approached the school, Tanya noticed something unusual. A cluster of official-looking cars parked outside and men in suits speaking into walkie-talkies. "Looks like he's already here," her mother whispered, squeezing her hand encouragingly. Principal Edwards met them at the entrance, looking more formal than usual in a freshly pressed suit. Mrs. Jackson, Tanya, good morning. Our special guest has arrived and is waiting in the conference room. Would you like to meet him now? Tanya could only nod, her voice temporarily deserting her. As they were led through the strangely quiet hallways, she caught glimpses of students being ushered into the auditorium, all whispering excitedly about the mystery assembly. At the conference room door, Principal Edwards knocked gently before opening it. Mr. Ali, Tanya Jackson and her mother are here to meet you. And there he was, taller than he appeared on television, dressed in an impeccable suit, with a presence that seemed to fill the room. Muhammad Ali, the three-time heavyweight champion of the world, turned toward the door with a smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. "So you're the brave young lady who wrote me that powerful letter," he said, his voice warm and surprisingly gentle for a man of his size. "It's an honor to meet you, Miss Tanya Jackson." Tanya stood frozen in the doorway, unable to believe that Muhammad Ali, the man she had watched on television, whose posters adorned shop windows throughout her neighborhood, was standing before her, extending his hand in greeting. "It's okay," he said with a warm smile, noticing her hesitation. "I don't bite, not outside the ring anyway." That broke the spell. Tanya stepped forward and shook his hand, which engulfed hers completely. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Ali," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please call me Muhammad," he replied, turning to greet her mother with equal warmth. "Mrs. Jackson, you've raised a remarkable young woman. That letter she wrote showed more courage than some fighters I've faced in the ring." "Thank you for responding to her," Tanya's mother said, visibly moved. "I had no idea what she was going through at school." Muhammad Ali gestured for them to sit at the conference table, where a pitcher of water and glasses had been arranged. Principal Edwards excused himself to oversee final preparations for the assembly, leaving the three of them alone. "Now, Tanya," Ali began, leaning forward slightly, "in your letter, you told me about these bullies. Lisa and her friends, right?" Tanya nodded, uncomfortable discussing the topic even now. "What they're doing is wrong," he continued, his voice firm but gentle. "And I want you to know that. But I also want to understand, why do you think they're treating you this way?" She considered the question. No adult had ever asked her that before. I think it's because I'm different. My skin is darker than most kids at school. We don't have much money and—" She hesitated, then added, "I'm smart. I get good grades and Lisa doesn't." Ali nodded thoughtfully. "You know, when I was growing up in Louisville, I faced similar challenges. People judged me by the color of my skin, not the content of my character. They tried to make me feel less than, tried to put limits on who I could become." He leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant, for a moment. "But my father taught me something important. He said, 'Cassius,' that was my name then, 'don't let anyone tell you who you are. You decide that for yourself.' And that's what I want to tell you today, Tanya. You decide who you are. Not Lisa, not anyone else." "But how?" Tanya asked, the question that had been burning inside her for months, finally finding voice. "How do I make them stop? How do I not let it hurt so much?" Ali smiled, but there was a seriousness in his eyes. "First, you need to understand something. Their behavior says nothing about you and everything about them. People who feel good about themselves don't need to hurt others to feel powerful." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small mirror, placing it on the table in front of Tanya. "I want you to look at yourself and tell me what you see." Confused but curious, Tanya picked up the mirror and studied her reflection. She saw her round face, her dark eyes, her hair carefully braided by her mother that morning. "I see me," she said uncertainly. "Look deeper," Ali encouraged. "Who is that girl in the mirror?" Tanya looked again, trying to see beyond the surface. "I see a girl who likes to read, who helps her grandma with her medicine, who dreams of becoming a doctor someday." "That's right," Ali said, nodding approvingly. "And that girl is beautiful, intelligent, and worthy of respect. That girl is Somebody important. Every morning, I want you to look in the mirror and remind yourself of that." He turned to Tanya's mother. "Mrs. Jackson, would it be all right if I speak to the principal about moving Tanya to a different class? Sometimes a fresh start can make all the difference." "Of course," she replied. "I should have requested that myself." A gentle knock at the door signaled that it was time for the assembly. Tanya felt a surge of nervousness at the thought of facing the entire school alongside Muhammad Ali. Sensing her anxiety, Ali placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Remember what I said, Tanya. You decide who you are. And today, you're the most important person in that auditorium, not me." As they walked toward the auditorium, Tanya's mother whispered, "I'm so proud of you, baby," before being escorted to a reserved seat in the front row. The murmur of hundreds of students fell to a hush as Principal Edwards stepped onto the stage. "Good morning, Westside Middle School. Today we have a very special guest who needs no introduction. Please welcome the heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali." The auditorium erupted in cheers and gasps as Ali strode onto the stage, his charismatic presence commanding immediate attention. But what silenced the room completely was when he turned and extended his hand off stage, saying into the microphone, "And please welcome my friend, Miss Tanya Jackson." Tanya stepped onto the stage, her legs trembling but her head held high as Ali had instructed. She could see the shock on Lisa's face in the third row, the disbelief in the eyes of teachers who had ignored her plight, the amazement of classmates who had never given her a second glance. "Tanya here sent me a letter," Ali began, his powerful voice filling the auditorium. "A letter that touched my heart and brought me to your school today. She told me about her experiences here, not all of them positive." He paced the stage as he spoke, every eye following his movement. "You see, Tanya is facing something many of you might be familiar with. It's called bullying, and it stops today." For the next 30 minutes, Muhammad Ali spoke about respect, dignity, and the true meaning of strength. He shared stories from his own childhood about facing discrimination and hatred, about how he transformed that pain into purpose. "Real strength," he told the silent audience, "isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about standing up for what's right. It's about lifting others up, not pushing them down. The strongest person in this room isn't me, it's Tanya, who had the courage to speak up when no one was listening." Then, in a moment Tanya would remember for the rest of her life, Ali turned to face the section where Lisa and her friend sat. "I understand there are some students here who haven't been treating Tanya with the respect she deserves," he said, his voice still kind, but with an unmistakable edge of authority. "I want to speak directly to you now." The spotlight seemed to find Lisa automatically, her face flushing red as Ali continued. "When you hurt someone else, you hurt yourself more. You damage your character, your spirit. But it's never too late to change course, to choose kindness over cruelty, to become the person you're meant to be, not the person anger or insecurity is making you." Tears began to fall down Lisa's cheeks, and Tanya was surprised to feel not satisfaction but a strange sense of empathy. She had never considered that Lisa might be fighting her own battles, carrying her own pain. "Today," Ali concluded, "I'm asking every one of you to make a promise, not to me, but to yourselves. Promise to treat each person you meet with dignity and respect, to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, to be champions, not just in sports or academics, but in character." He turned to Tanya, holding out his hand. "And I'm starting by asking Tanya to forgive those who have hurt her, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because she deserves peace." Tanya took his hand, her own tears flowing freely now. In that moment, standing beside her hero, she felt something she hadn't experienced in months. She felt visible. She felt worthy. She felt strong. The assembly ended with Muhammad Ali leading the entire school in a pledge to stand against bullying. As students filed out of the auditorium, many approached Tanya to apologize for not speaking up sooner or to express admiration for her courage. Teachers who had previously ignored the situation now seemed eager to demonstrate their commitment to change. But the most surprising moment came when Lisa Bradshaw, her eyes red from crying, approached Tanya in the hallway. "Can I talk to you?" she asked quietly, her usual confidence nowhere to be seen. "Alone?" Tanya hesitated, years of torment making her wary of this sudden change. Muhammad Ali, who had been speaking with Principal Edwards nearby, noticed the interaction and gave Tanya an encouraging nod. "Okay," Tanya agreed, following Lisa to a quiet corner near the library. For a moment, Lisa stood silently, struggling to find words. "I'm sorry," she finally said, her voice breaking. "I was horrible to you. There's no excuse." Tanya waited, unsure how to respond to this unfamiliar version of her tormentor. "When Muhammad Ali talked about hurting others because of your own pain," Lisa continued, "he was right. My parents are getting divorced. My dad moved out last summer and he barely calls anymore. I've been so angry, and I took it out on you because you seemed strong, even when everything was falling apart. You still got good grades and kept going, while I was falling apart inside." The confession stunned Tanya. All this time, she had seen Lisa as someone who had everything. Popularity, nice clothes, confidence. She never imagined that beneath that exterior was a girl as vulnerable as herself. "I'm sorry about your parents," Tanya said sincerely. "That must be really hard." Lisa looked up, surprised by the compassion. "You don't hate me." "I wanted to," Tanya admitted. "But hating you took too much energy I need for other things." A small, genuine smile appeared on Lisa's face. "Muhammad Ali was right about you. You are strong." She hesitated, then added, "I don't expect us to be friends or anything. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, and it won't happen again." As Lisa turned to leave, Tanya surprised herself by saying, "Maybe we could start over, not as friends right away, but not as enemies either." For the rest of that day, Muhammad Ali remained at Westside Middle School, speaking with students in smaller groups and even visiting classrooms. He had lunch in the cafeteria, causing a sensation as students lined up for autographs and photos. Throughout it all, he kept Tanya by his side, treating her with a respect that transformed how others saw her, and more importantly, how she saw herself. Before leaving, Ali had a private meeting with Principal Edwards and several teachers, including Mrs. Carter. Though Tanya wasn't present, her mother later told her that Ali had strongly advocated for concrete anti-bullying policies and suggested regular assemblies where students could share their experiences in a safe environment. He also arranged for a local community center to start an after-school boxing program, her mother added with a smile. Not to teach fighting, but discipline, respect, and self-confidence. As Ali prepared to depart, he took a moment for a final word with Tanya. "Remember what we talked about," he said, crouching slightly to meet her at eye level. "Every morning, look in that mirror and know your worth." "I will," Tanya promised, feeling as though something fundamental had shifted within her. Ali reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I have something for you, a reminder of today." Inside was a gold pendant in the shape of a butterfly, hanging from a delicate chain. "The butterfly was once a caterpillar," Ali explained, as he helped Tanya fasten the necklace. "It transformed itself through struggle. The hard shell of the chrysalis is necessary for the butterfly to develop its wings. Without that struggle, it would never fly." Tanya touched the pendant gently. "Like you're saying, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." "Exactly," Ali grinned. "And you, Miss Tanya Jackson, are ready to fly." As his car pulled away from Westside Middle School, Tanya stood with her mother, watching until it disappeared around the corner. She knew that tomorrow would bring challenges. Change doesn't happen overnight. But for the first time in months, she looked forward to returning to school. The weeks that followed proved Ali's visit was no temporary fix. Principal Edwards implemented new anti-bullying policies with strict consequences. Teachers received training on recognizing and addressing bullying behavior. An anonymous reporting system was established so students could safely report incidents. Tanya was moved to a different homeroom as Ali had suggested, though she still shared some classes with Lisa. To everyone's surprise, Lisa's behavior transformed completely. She even joined Tanya in helping to organize the school's first Respect Week, featuring daily activities promoting kindness and inclusion. 1 month after Ali's visit, Tanya received another letter from him, this one containing tickets for her family to attend his upcoming championship fight against George Foreman in Zaire, the Rumble in the Jungle. Watching from home will be fine, her mother laughed when Tanya showed her the tickets. Africa is a bit far for us, but it's a lovely gesture. Instead, they invited neighbors to their small living room to watch the historic fight on television. When Ali defeated Foreman against all odds, reclaiming the heavyweight title that had been stripped from him years earlier, the room erupted in cheers. Tanya touched the butterfly pendant around her neck, understanding more deeply now what Ali had meant about transformation through struggle. By the end of the school year, Westside Middle School had become a different place. The culture of silence around bullying had been replaced by one of accountability and support. Tanya, once invisible, was now president of the Student Council's new Community Outreach Committee, working to bring speakers and programs to the school. On the last day of classes, Mrs. Carter asked students to write an essay about someone who had influenced their lives that year. Tanya wrote about Muhammad Ali, of course, but she also included unexpected paragraphs about Lisa Bradshaw. Sometimes the people who hurt us most have been deeply hurt themselves, she wrote. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps us see them as human beings capable of change. Lisa taught me that transformation is possible for anyone willing to face their own pain honestly and choose a different path forward. When Ali returned to Chicago for an exhibition match that summer, he invited Tanya and her family as his special guests. Backstage, he embraced her warmly, noting how much she had grown, not just physically, but in confidence and presence. "I have something to show you," Tanya said excitedly, pulling out her latest report card. "Straight A's across every subject. Look at that," Ali exclaimed. "Did I not tell you? The greatest." "I've decided I want to be a psychologist when I grow up," Tanya told him. "I want to help kids who are struggling like Lisa was, like I was." Ali nodded approvingly. "The world needs more healers, and you have the heart for it." Years later, Dr. Tanya Jackson would open a youth counseling center in Southside Chicago named The Butterfly Effect, dedicated to helping children transform their struggles into strength. On the wall of her office hung a framed photograph of a 12-year-old girl standing beside Muhammad Ali, both beaming with matching expressions of determination and hope. And around her neck, she still wore the butterfly pendant, a daily reminder that with courage, compassion, and the right champion in your corner, anyone can transform their life from invisible to invincible. If you made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hands to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who truly live. If this touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.